Lindsay, the whole squad. Chris, he's done a great job with us, again, challenging. Counselor Victor Davila is also here. Thank you, Victor. Whole squad. So Chris, we're going to start the hearing. Great job with us, again, challenging. Counselor Victor Davila is also $1 billion. I'm very pleased with thank you, Victor. Cabinet heads, department heads. We're going to start really the hearing. Great job with us, again, challenging. We're trying to make sure that also $1 billion basic services and the individuals that do those basic services. Cabinet heads, going for so we're going to start really the community. Proud to say that we continue to have the highest bond ratings in the city's history. We continue to keep a healthy reserve. When a rainy day comes, we've been able to balance the budget without any real use of reserves for the last 12 or 13 years. So we're spending, we're taking in, but we have the ebbs and flows of the uncertainty on the federal level. Seems to change not only every week, every day on the funding distribution that is not coming the state's way nor our way, so I have to be cognizant of that. People might ask about the bond ratings. Why is that so important? Because of our bonding capacity, and it gives us a lower rate. It enables us to keep building new schools for our children and their families, and doing major projects or smaller projects in our neighborhood areas. So that's important that we keep the bond rating as high as possible, and we've been able to keep it, with all of the challenges that we face. But I want to thank from cabinet heads down to rank and file for all their dedicated efforts, and we're going to continue to move the city forward. We're going to look and try to be as streamlined as possible, and then we'll go from there. Budget hearing run today, tomorrow, Friday. Next Tuesday, subject to change if something should arise with my schedule or something with the city on that. So with that, let me turn it over to CAFO Kathy Barnwell for a few words, and then I'll turn it over to the city council if they want to make any opening statements, and of course any questions that they might have when we go in the presentation. Then we'll call our cabinet heads and department heads and lieutenants up for the explanation of their budget. Kathy, please.
I'm just going to reiterate what the mayor said, that the department heads really worked on their budgets. They, as they have every year since I've been in this position, they really looked at it line by line, and they made the cuts that we asked them to, and they understand the challenges we have and the challenges we're facing with both at the federal and state level. So we do appreciate, and we are going to have to cut. So I just want to say thank you now, everything you tried to do. So thank you.
Thank you. And I appreciate the media for being here. Jeanette the Fortune, the Republican, is here, and 22 News and Western Mass News are also here. So thank you very, very much for being here. Kevin and Ms. Buddy from 22 News. So first on the hit parade is Office of Finance, Administration of Finance. So Kathy, that is you.
And I will turn that over to Chris Frazier, who is the budget director, who will speak for our budget.
Hey, Chris. Before that, I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't indicate I was to the City Councilor Santinello, City Councilor Davila, City Councilor Perez, and the City Councilor. If you'd like to have any opening statements at all, and then you can ask any questions you want to.
Yeah, Brian Santinello, City Council. I know this budget is going to pass, predictably pass the $1 billion mark. And what I would like to see is if we have vacancies, Kathy, how many of those do we plan on filling, or how many of those can we not fill? The reason being, every time we put someone on, it's a hidden cost of the retirement factor, the health insurance down the road, which for each one of those individual people that get hired, that's millions of dollars potentially going out in that retirement. So how does that look for this year as far as how many vacancies can we anticipate, how many will we not fill?
Thank you, Council Santinelli. Any other councils?
Yes, Mayor Sarno, thank you
Councilor,
very much.
hold on, excuse me.
Oh, please, that's okay. First of all, I want to thank you, for presenting the budget. As everyone knows, my fear, of course, is, our residents' property taxes. And if the budget is over $1 billion, I know last year we were close to it. I just fear that there's going to be another increase. So I'm hoping, and I really appreciate Kathy's work on this and Chris Frazier on it, that we will be very careful and going forward to present a budget that doesn't necessarily have to increase our residents' property taxes. Because I've been hearing from my constituents for the very longest time, since I've been on the city council, even before that, for the last 4 years then, that the property taxes are too high already, and if we anticipate another increase, that's just going to put some people over the edge. But I just wanted to say that, as usual, I was gonna say this, Mayor Sarno, probably, because that's my, I think, stomping, my little soapbox that I get on every year. So I appreciate your support. I appreciate the city's dedication to making sure that our residents have what they need. I also want us to make sure that we are aware and we are considerate of what they need on the other side as far as not raising property taxes.
Yeah, and we, again, working with the city council and Kathy, we have put numerous tax relief programs in effect. We continue to work with Councilor Davila also with the, so we have pilots and we have that, people can donate. I've donated myself on that, but we increased, we lowered ages, we increased exemptions. We also put it, in their tax bills, everything that we apply for. And many a times, well, I don't want to apply, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. But we'll be cognizant of that. I mean, the real estate continues to still stay high. And I live in Springfield, across the state, across the country. So we try to be as fair as possible. I have, working with the city council, we have put in money to lower the rates for our residents and the commercial rate for our businesses too. We can only go so far with that. Matter of fact, I think Kathy, before the bond rating agencies in the next couple of weeks too, and that's, they want to know what you're doing as far as being fiscally prudent. So thank you, Zena, with that. Council Perez, Council Davila.
I just want to say thank you to the team for their efforts. I know you're working very closely. I know we economically nationwide, we are in distress. I will emphasize working closely at the neighborhood services that we provide, so they will not be so much impacted by it. And if so, having some types of meetings together as an emergency preparedness, because I know we're gonna need one. When it comes to the taxes, unfortunately, we want better schools, we want better streets. So all that comes in play when I say the neighborhood impact that we're gonna receive, and it's coming on the budget. But the team, thank you so much.
You're welcome. We're also joined by City Council President Tracy Whitfield, and Council Davila would like to say a few words, and I'll turn it over to City Council President.
Thank you, Mr.
Tracy
President.
Whitfield, a couple of words opening, then we'll go starting the budget session.
I defer to the Madam President.
President Tracy.
Just glad to be here. Been through these a lot and glad to see so many councilors here. Actually, at the hearings meeting and just looking forward to learn about the budget. Thank you, Mayor.
Madam President. Councilor Davila, Victor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon to all of you. First, Mr. Mayor, let me say thank you to the department heads for doing due diligence and bringing everybody's understanding the budget. I realize times are hard, and I know that you are doing the best with less money, trying to give us services. Mr. Mayor, as you have said before, it's expected that this budget is going to be at least $1 billion. That's one way to be $1 billion. And that's a gargantuan task to ensure that we meet our requirements, our statutory requirements, but also most importantly, that we continue to provide the needed services which the residents pay for and are entitled to. You are really Mr. Mayor and the council. I'm gonna be looking at two things. One, of course, I've spoken to you about property taxes. And I thank you for working hand in hand into together. Coming over some sort of concern with Capibono. To ensure that we have some sort of a tax relief. Tax relief is something, Mr. Mayor, that I feel that we as a community, if this is going to be the thing that we decide that we want to do, that we have concrete allocated source for this. And so, as you know better than us, Mr. Mayor, times are hard. And so we can get best what we have. With the constraint that we have. Also, Mr. Mayor, and I know it's kind of a wish list for my part. As you know, and I spoke to your client briefly yesterday about the puzzle situation.
Okay.
Get to find out that we only have $6.5 million for paving repair.
Chapter 90
Chapter
funds,
90
which
funds.
Governor, thank Governor Healy, like,
Yeah.
it's an increase and we're gonna be working on a lot of roads and we're redoubling the efforts to asphalt companies open up Monday.
Yeah.
So we'll have numerous crews out there addressing the
Yeah.
potholes and a lot of paving will go on in the spring.
And so for me, like I say, it's a kind of a pocket that if we could somehow increase even by 0.5% our allocation to that, I think it would be one of the worst investment, because rural investment is also economic investment. With that, I think it's a mayor.
Well, thank you, Victor, and yes, we're gonna continue on that. We had a brutal winter, and pleased to, and thank you to Focus Springfield for video this, so residents and others can see it too. We're gonna continue with that, and efforts continue to be redoubled, especially with the hot patches that we do now. And with the extra money, we're gonna be looking at roadway areas where we've been patched before to redo those. Also, we're also joined by Councilor Justin Hurst, who's remote. I don't know, Councilor Hurst, if you'd like to say some opening remarks at all?
Declined to join up, so we just want to watch.
He's gonna watch, okay, just want to make sure. Council Davila brings up an important point, and Kathy, CAFO Bono and Lindsay and Deputy CAFO and Budget Director Chris Frazier. We have certain things in the budget every year that are mandatory, that we have to do. You have contractual raises, you have health insurance, you have the pension fund that we have to do automatically. That has to be done as we continue to fill that. So those go in there. And again, I know it's gonna be over $1 billion. 2/3 of that budget is on the school side, which I cannot touch. We do fund school busing, and we have to do school net aid payments to them too. So the majority of the budget, 2/3 is on our school side. And that's important, because we want to be able to continue to provide for our children and their families so they can move forward and succeed in their future endeavors. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I want to make sure we got some comments in, and then of course they're more than welcome to asking questions and counselors to the cabinet heads, department heads. So Kathy, you're up.
Chris is up.
Chris is up. Budget Director Chris Frazier.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Office of Administration and Finance, our budget request for FY27 is 1.36 million for a total of 15 FTEs. This request represents an increase of just 2.5% over FY26, which aligns with the objective that we asked all city departments to consider when building FY27. And the request funds all contractual services and supplies that are necessary for our operations. So with that, I'll take any questions anybody has.
And again, a lot of the, you'll see on some of the smaller departments, here, still important departments, many of it is personnel costs that come up, but you can also see percentage of change. In their case, the percentage of change has gone down when it comes to departmental staff. Kathy, anything else you want to add on that?
No, just that we continue to look at staffing, and we did cut some positions. And the city cut, as you know, from 25 to 26, cut the 15 positions we committed to. So I just want to make sure counselors understand that we also do in the budget a lost time, that we acknowledge that there's going to be open positions and there's going to be savings. And the year we're in, we actually put in a negative $1.7 million. capture all of the savings. We are right now, still looking for another 500,000 in savings between now and June 30th to make up that. And that's for when someone leaves. And then the time period it takes to hire someone else. So we acknowledge that up front when we reduce the budget by that 1.7 million. So we do acknowledge salary savings, and we have done cutting of staff throughout the last 2 budget years. So the departments are very lean right now. I just want to make you aware of that. I know you're focused on it, but I want to make you aware of it.
And there's no, and I always do ask if we can, I always ask departments. If there was a wish list, you know, it's not the old days now where we could be able to do multiple things, but if there was something we could do, we'd look into it. Finance and administration has no asks.
Yeah, there's-
Dr. No, that's her nickname, Dr. No, by the way. So I don't know if any other comments or councilors have any questions at all?
Yeah, I have a question,
Go
Mr. Mayor.
Yep, go ahead.
So when Kathy, you sent me a free cash line item budget. And so when I was looking at that free cash line item budget, it looked like a lot of the free cash did come from the department. So I was just trying to wonder, like, if we're reducing the budget and you still have like a little bit of a shortfall, then how is the free cash coming from your department at the end of the year? So I looked at free cash, right? 'Cause
Well, we have a surplus at the end of one of our accounts, yes, so that rolled into free cash.
Right, so. Do you remember which account that was? I'm gonna look up the free cash, so I have the free cash line item details, and I'm just, like, what I'm concerned with is, we're raising property taxes to our constituents. And at the end of the year, I think you had on your first review page that you had like 18 million
We had
or
18
something
million
of free cash. And so to me, it feels like there's some padding going on in the budgets.
I don't.
Padding is just the word that I'm using.
Okay.
And I don't know what other word to use. But it feels like there's some excess in some of the budgets. And then it turns into free cash at the end of the year. And then free cash is then used to whatever projects that are not built into the budget come to us for this, to use some of the free cash money to do some of these projects, which, I think if it's really a budget expenditure, then it should be built into the budget, and we shouldn't wait to the end of the year when we have free cash to do some of these things. And I'm not saying all of it is like that, but that's just how it's been feeling to me. And so I do want to do a deep dive into free cash and see where the excess, I don't want to call it padding, is coming from, and how we can reduce that to reduce the budget, because like everyone else, and since I've been a counselor and before, I have been talking about property taxes. I also don't approve the budget because in the budget, when the increases come, it's gonna increase property tax. I know that, been working in finance for a long time, and I just can't do it to the residents when electricity and water and grocery and everything else is rising except income. So I think that we should really look at the line items in free cash and say, okay, what happened last year that we didn't spend all this money and reduce those lines? I'm not talking about salaries, I'm not talking about cutting people's jobs, right? So.
Yep, and we do a 3-year analysis of each line item, so we do that during the budget. So we will be doing that, but I'd be glad to, as I said, work with the counselors on that previous budget.
Thank you, and I think Counselor Boban, she'll be over the special committee and working closely.
Yep, oh
With
yeah,
you all.
absolutely.
If I may, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
So my question is, for Kathy and for, I guess, the finance department, are there any vacant positions right now?
We have one vacant position, someone just left, and we haven't filled it because we're right in the middle of the budget process, and we didn't do any training. But over the past 2 years, we've given up 2.5 positions, so I really can't give up this position. But you know, you want it, but I.
Well,
2.5.
What I was
So
gonna say,
I mean, it has left us very short-handed.
I
So
understand that.
we will be posting it. It's just not a time to hire when I'm trying to get this. There's no time to train someone. And I wouldn't want them just sitting there at the desk. That would be a waste of money. I'm paying someone to just sit there.
right, So I guess my question is, it's probably gonna be a bad word for everybody, so here it is. When would there be a reason for us to have a hiring freeze, right?
Right now, we're in a type of, we're on hold right now in every position before, if someone leaves and we wanna, they wanna refill a position. It comes to our office, we do a whole analysis. There are a lot of jobs that some jobs we put on hold right now haven't filled. So we aren't in a hiring freeze, we're in a, what's the word, man? I'm gonna use the word.
We're going at what is.
Cautiously.
Caution, and what is needed, you have to understand that, you know, we continue to move forward in the public safety front, there'll be another academy coming out with police and fire. We've been able to keep labor harmony and peace by settling a lot of contracts. They send it to city council to make sure you have those money. The thing I have to caution you on is that, you know, we are running lean. And if you cut services, and people do those services, but then move to layoffs. And if certain services aren't going on, that means privatization comes in. And whether we won't be paying for that, the residents or business community would have to pay for that. So we're just trying to be as cognizant, because many of times I've been requests from city councils, I need this for my neighborhood, I need that, this, that. Well, you know, we try to accommodate as best we can, but you still have to have the ability to provide those services. And in some positions that we look at,
And we're now on hold, we're gonna look at them.
And, you know, and I don't absolutely do not want, our services to be reduced, of course, right? I don't think anybody wants that. And I also believe that our residents are clamoring for some relief. You know what I mean? They're at the tip, you know, everybody, I always say it's everybody's on a fixed income, right? Because your salary is not gonna go up just because your light bill went up, right? But that's what's happening to our residents. And every day I hear people, they call me, they message me on social media and complain about the property taxes, Eversource bills, everything is going up except for their income. And it's just, I just feel really bad, you know, in this position. I'm realizing there's really not a lot that I can do about it, of course. But I'm just hoping that we can find a way to help our residents somehow. And if the budget is over $1 billion, I know that's gonna be a property tax increase. And I know that you have, you know, put money into the relief, but the relief still doesn't get on a level. You know what I mean? It still increases the property tax. And they don't understand
well,
that.
I believe the last 3 years or so, we pumped in.
7 million last year.
That's so overall,
Nothing.
yes, it does.
It still
does reduce.
increases it.
I understand that because costs go up and you have the obligations that we have to pay
Right.
on that. But we have done that, and again, in every tax bill, we put out all the abatements and tax relief programs that I look, somebody at the Irish flag raising, I said, grabbing that, well, I don't want to do that, I want to fill that out.
And I think because it's too, not hard, it's just another step, and then you don't qualify, right? You go through all that process, oh, you don't qualify because you make $5
Well,
too much.
that's why,
It's substantially more, I think Jessica can speak to
Yeah.
how many.
No,
when she comes up,
Pop, and.
but we also set up.
It's just another thing, and that's the reason people don't wanna apply.
We also
If they
set up
apply,
that
they don't
committee.
qualify.
I also have $1 million and more coming in for people that don't just miss qualifications also, that they'll be able to qualify for tax.
That would be good, that would be good,
Yeah, well, we have that.
okay.
We're waiting for it to pass on the legislative home rule bill.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that, you know, unfortunately,
That would be good,
services.
that would be good.
Yeah, well, we have that. Yeah.
Okay.
Pays that, we
And then also, you also said privatization, right? We have a lot of services in the city, in the parks department, and I'm not sure what other departments that are kind of privatized. They're not our employees, they're contractors from outside. And is that more expensive?
No, it's a
or-
little more cost efficient
Okay.
doing that. But what I'm saying is that, and I mean, these things happen during the control board days, which I served on. They privatized a number of things. And
Yeah. like
and
the
what
way-
happened there? Well, that happened, water and sewer happened with prior administration, I was under Mayor Albano.
Yeah.
Turn it over, put more police on the streets, but some privatization did occur. And I'll tell you one that, didn't work out well was the street sweeper. And so, because things were going correctly, and you had, we felt that city workers have pride in their work. And they go the extra yard on that. So I'm just saying, if you look to say, we're not gonna do this anymore, we're not gonna do that anymore. Residents and business community, they say, well, where do we go for that? You're gonna have to.
Well, maybe that would kind of like push the community to come together and you know what, we're just gonna sweep our street as an example. Mutual aid, right, because depending on.
Well, and you can't.
The city.
You can't, because the calls will come.
I get the calls.
So you gotta be, you're running
I hear
a
you,
corporation.
of course.
And you have to be able to provide. Now, Springfield is not isolated in this. Any other city, you have other cities and towns that are gonna be going through layoffs and cutbacks. I hope we don't have to face it. I've had to do that early on in my administration, do that. But you have other cities in town. I'm very proud of our strength financially, but you can't liquidate all your reserves.
And we don't wanna do that. We don't wanna do
And
that.
then we have free cash, but last year we spent 99% of our budget, so, I mean, we
And then,
spent
again,
99% of it, so, I mean,
but I think the
expenditures
free
are.
cash is a great opportunity for us to be able to do something for the residents, right?
And we don't have free cash, so, but I mean, you want more, I understand.
Yeah, I want all of it.
I don't.
Yes, that would be, but all due respect, that would be,
I hear you.
that would be, that would be
Those are the
that would be irresponsible, not fiscally prudent to do that, because what you're doing is setting up down the road. You give a break, you try to get more of a break out, trying to do with our taxpayers and our business community, that 1 year. And then the next year, you're gonna get a massive balloon payment that is doing.
You don't have enough free cash to put at it.
Right,
Yeah.
no, but I
Every
think
year.
because if we go, let's say, for as an example, last year, right? We put the free cash in there, the taxes didn't go up because we put enough free cash in there for the taxes not to increase.
Well, the rates both
The rate.
down residential and commercial too.
But if we put enough money in the free cap and in the tax thing so that we wouldn't have to increase the taxes regardless of what the rate is. This year, okay, we might have to do the rate and we won't have free cash to put in there. So the property taxes will go up, but they'll just go up based on what we're doing this year.
You'd be looking in the 20s or 30s millions of dollars, which, and to the veteran councils that have been here, you're setting yourself up, again, for the city will not be able to move forward. And you're setting yourself up for a huge bond rating decreases, which is gonna skyrocket our interest rates. We can limit any projects that we can do. And then you're gonna set up at that point in time. I mean, it happened 20-something years ago. Control board came in. So, we're trying to be as fair as possible, but you just can't continue to pump in huge amounts, and we're trying to be as responsible as we can with the actually to the residents of this community, but you can't, first of all, DOR will say, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? And then the bond rating agencies are gonna say the same thing.
So
What are
you're
you
saying
doing?
because we don't collect the property tax that we're.
No, we get property tax, we're collecting at a high clip of 90-something percent.
No, I'm saying, I know, but you're saying, what you're saying is if we put in, let's say the free cash for the property tax, so they're not paying what they would have paid. Is that what you're talking about?
No, we're collecting, in the, some years ago, in the, when I was with Mary Hurley and Brian was in the council, that's what chapter 656, I think now come in. You were able to balance you were able to put in a budget anticipating that you were going to garner 100% of your revenue. Now, we're close, we're very good on that.
Yeah,
In those days, they were garnering probably 82 to 82%. So automatically you're running into a structural deficit at that point. What I'm saying is you should, pump in 20 or 30 million on that. You can't, because it's gonna come a day, a rainy day, hopefully it's not this year, but we're gonna have to use some type of reserves to keep things, services going and people working. So,
Okay, we'll continue this.
thank you.
I wanted to just say I was looking at the wrong line. Isn't your department that has the excess? Dollar amount, but no, I just want to give one idea for property tax because now the mayor has the authority over the, I guess the 121A funds, the casino funds. And if we could just take a portion of that funds and say, we're automatically gonna transfer some of this money over to, property tax. And then the balance, he has the authority to do whatever. Because a lot of that, there was like 14 million or something build up and probably like 80%, if not more, all went to like some downtown revitalization. And I'm not saying that downtown isn't important. It is, but it's not the only important place in the city. And I just wanted to say that verbally, because it gets a lot of attention and it gets a lot of funding and other parts of the city don't get as much. But if we could commit to putting a percentage of that MGM funds, just say it's automatically gonna go to reduce property tax, I think that's a bucket of money that could.
Well, a lot of that also besides downtown, the police department, other things. And I have funded heavily a number of projects in everyone's neighborhoods on that. And by having that in 121A, that has been very valuable to keep our budget, without that money, keep our budget moving forward.
I didn't see the 121A, not the 121A, I'm talking about the community
Development fund.
development, the
Well-
community
Two point
funds,
five
million a year.
Yeah.
It had built up, because I've been following the MGM fund since the inception, and it had built up to around 14, 15 million. And I got all of where that money went, and the majority of it went to downtown. I'm not saying you don't invest in the rest of the city, but I'm saying it's not an equal investment as what downtown.
And it also goes to creating a good four-letter word.
Yes,
Jobs.
yeah,
Jobs
okay.
on it.
Jobs, yes.
And in the
When-
legislation-
Jobs, when you're creating the streets and things like that, but they go away. But what doesn't go away is property tax.
I
To
understand.
commit some of those
understand.
funds to property tax reduction, I think I'm just giving an idea of a bucket of money, Mayor,
Which,
that could be used.
which we do overall when you look at the free cash on it. And,
I'm talking about
Oh,
additional
yeah.
to free cash.
and also the legislature took away our funds also too. They took away our funds also too, so you need to be cognizant
Which
of
funds?
that.
Which funds?
From the game fiction of 3 million we would get every year.
That's
So
good.
that's separate from what I'm talking about. I'm talking about 2.5 million that we get annually from the MGM, that we can use a portion of that to go toward property tax reduction.
Yes.
That's the only bucket I'm talking about right now.
But that bucket, when you lose $3 million, and there's things that have to get done, it's gotta come from somewhere, plus the continued federal cuts that we're
Did we
taking.
lose local marijuana revenue? Did we lose that? Because I don't even know what happened to that. Maybe that's another idea.
CCC is evolving,
Because don't
changing.
ordinance, that part of that is supposed to go to the community?
Yeah, Councilor Perez oversees that minutes, and they're balancing that.
Yeah,
But you also have others that are challenging about the close community, they are also too.
Right now, I just wanna focus on what we can do to help reduce.
No, we're on the,
No, yes, no, absolutely, but everything will be on the table.
we're on the same page, Madam President, same page. Yeah.
Just,
Councilor DeVoe?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just like if I may, sir.
Sure.
And so, by the way, I want to recognize, Mr. Mayor, before I ask you my question, that we'll want the best, and I fully recognize that you're juggling 40 balls since I was there. And so I don't want to put that on the record, I realize that things are tight, but I realize that we're doing the best we can. Mr. Mayor, this budget, does that take into account that $3 million that the state took for next year, for the 2027? We expect to get that money back, or some sort of money back from
No,
the
that,
state?
that money was never in the general fund.
Where was the money going?
That was a separate grant from the state, no, so this isn't part of it. But we don't expect the state to ever get it back, no, it's gone,
The 3 million, yeah,
yes.
but are we expecting some grant money from the state for next year? So that's gone completely?
The state,
Not all the, that one pot of money is gone. All the state grant money is not gone. No,
That
one
program,
pot of
that
money,
grant
that
program.
that grant.
So for
program.
2027, we're getting some money from that grant program?
Not from
Not-
that grant
No.
program.
Not from that other.
but Governor Healy has indicated, I mean, with the continued federal attack, the state could be in line, I hope not, but losing $6 billion in federal funding. Which means it doesn't trickle down to us. So that's why it's so important. With the healthy reserves we have, we might have to utilize that, so.
So we would.
Council DeVille, if you know.
Yeah, thank you, sir. No, good.
Would this be the time to do the hiring freeze then?
Again, as CAFO Bunnels indicated, we're being very cautious on positions if they have to be filled. Some positions have to be filled, whether they're out front on the street or whether they're behind the scenes, making sure we're getting every dime that we can get here in the city. Okay, next is I think it's 311 is up. Yeah, Gladys and Jason, please.
Welcome.
I hope that is it will cheer that it doesn't show.
Yeah, good luck. They got us everywhere.
Why is that? Why is that? So why don't cabinet head Oriola and the director Jason Garner, if you want to go into your presentation, please.
So as you know, 311 is the first point of contact for many of the city's departments. We take over 100,000 calls a year, processing service requests, answering questions, or referring customers to the appropriate departments. 311 continues to operate on a modest budget, comprised mostly of the salaries and the leasing fee for our software, followed by office equipment and postage. To limit the budget growth to 2.5, the department would need to reduce staffing and in turn to impact daily operations as well as services provided to residents. We currently have one vacancy, which is a backfill for an internal promotion, and that should be posted within the next week or two. The only thing we're asking for is an increase of $500 for our office supplies, and that's just for color printer toner. But that's probably going to be like an every other year expense. We don't do that much color printing. And I'd also just like to take the opportunity to thank the mayor and his staff and Focus Springfield for the video that you guys put out. Just informs residents of what we do in 311 and how they're able to contact us. Just before help.
We do get a lot of Gladys and Jason, we do get a lot of nice compliments for the 311 does to steer them first, and of course they call our office doing what we call the city council office, but we do get a lot of compliments on that, and you're the first line of people talk to. So they deeply appreciate that, you and your staff, and we appreciate that. So you can, as you can see with finance administration and with 311, basically limited to no increase that are asked for, besides you have the contractual increases and then costs pertaining to other than personal services and TPS. Kathy, if you have any questions, or Gladys? Councilors, any questions for 311?
Just a clarifying question. You said that if we keep the budget at 2.5% as requested, we may use that?
No, I believe there was a request to kind of reduce the budget by 2.5%.
Only.
So, yeah, I'm just saying that if we were to do that, we would need to reduce staff, but.
Theirs went up 4%, and that's because the year we're in, one of his positions, we knew wasn't gonna be filled right away, so we only funded it in FY26 for 9 months.
Right.
It has been filled, so we have to fund it the entire 12 months for next year, and that's why it went up a little bit. We try to, if it's gonna take a while to fund positions, we try not to fund it for the whole year to fill positions. So that was only funded 9 months in 26, so in 27, we need to fund it.
So as presented, $627,000 budget is gonna keep all 11 FTEs?
Yes. Yes.
I've asked all departments to really come in that we have level services. So there, and so there's not really a big wish list for now. Level services, but even with level services, because of statutory costs that we have, which are down, you're gonna see there'll be a slight increase. And once you get the overall budget, you're gonna see that they've come in very, very lean. Any other questions or comments at
I
311?
just have a comment on the 311 system. I think it's an excellent, you guys do an excellent job. All my constituents, anytime they call me and ask me about some cities, if I do ask them to call you. And I have not heard a complaint about 311 yet, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
I have a question.
Councilor Santinelli,
Yeah, what role will artificial intelligence play in your department in the future?
So it's actually something we've been considering, the lease for our, IntelliGov software is up next year. So it is something that I've been considering, putting out to bid and to see what other options are out there. I know, Ludlow just recently added an AI chatbot, so, and they're gonna be adding, a voice AI to that as well. So that's something that's kind of been crossing my mind. Again, just giving people the opportunity, another way to contact us. Hopefully that wouldn't cut jobs unless that's what is needed budget wise, but it's something we're exploring.
that's a good question, Councilor Santinelli. I still have an etch a sketch, so there's pros and cons to AI. And you gotta be careful with that. Maybe in some general information, fine. But I have found, doing a little bit of research on sometimes specific information, AI is giving out incorrect information.
Yeah.
So that at that point in time, that gets attributed to the whatever organization in or the city. Having that customer service, having that human factor, is extremely important. So, but Ryan, I think that was a great question. There are some pros to it, but I'm leery of some of the cons that occur on that. So we gotta be cognizant. But that was very.
But that technology, as you were aware, is evolving.
It is. And we're also gonna look into, Governor Heal Moore is putting together funding for AI type initiatives, so we're gonna be looking into that. Where it can benefit the city and the residents and the business community tax, more than happy to look into it. I'm just, I think, I just agree. It's not to cure all the invite. So, very good. Any other questions or comments?
Just a comment for Jason, I see your name, but never met you. And I just want to say that I appreciate, the technology that you are using for people to be able to go online or submit their requests, through automation instead of the phone calls, because I know that working in customer service for 15 years, you can really get burnt out.
Yes.
So I definitely love it. I know, Shay, the mayor's aide, comes to the Mesa Square C3. She always gives us that resource. And so I definitely love to be able to share that
Yeah.
with people. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you, Madam President. Any questions, got Gladys, Jen, Mason, no? Okay, thank you, 311.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna go to the city council. Yeah, we'll head Gladys, so you'll, and again, well, let me say with on the council or the mayor's office, the majority of the cost of personnel services. Period. And you can see that, I know my OTP, it's very streamlined on it, but it's basically personal services account. So, Madam Cabinet.
I mean, we have half the council here.
Which is good. I'm happy to see you. This is where the nuts and bolts really gets done before it gets to you. You can ask the question. You ask the same questions for cabinets, and your lieutenants come before you anyways. But this really.
Yeah, the mayor's school, I was gonna say thank you to all the councilors that are here, either virtually or in person. Because I think that what happens in this room is you get to ask all those questions that you either forget, or when it's presented in the bigger space, really don't, you can't hash it out, right? So to have the legislative and the executive branches of the city here in this smaller room, like the room where it happens is really this room. And you get to ask all of us department heads those one-on-one questions. I think the question that Counselor Santinello asked Jason, even though you're one of the longer serving counselors for the city, you always are on, like, you're on top of what's happening in that, right, all the time. And for the cabinet that I do is the information, I call it the information cabinet, nobody else does, but it's 311, city council, city clerks, and elections. And all of those departments really are, I want to say, like the heartbeat of the city. Or as small as the departments are, and Evan is our new budget analyst. We don't really have many changes, right? We work closely with our budget analysts to make sure that we have, it's not even a lean budget, we have like a skin and bones budget for each of those departments. And if you look at the three, I'm gonna just speak globally to all three that I've submitted, they're approximately $30,000 difference between FY26 and FY27, but we are doing more work. So we are not going to have any less service to residents in 27 than we did in 26, we'll have more. We're gonna have more babies born in the city of Springfield, we're gonna have more constituent services because our current council president is making the city council office more readily available to the public, so the city council staff is taking more phone calls, answering more emails. So really, the city and the residents of Springfield are getting a better bang for their buck with our FY27 budget that's presented. The one wish list item that I will say is not for the council, is for our elections department. This 2027, we're gonna be rolling out poll pads, so it's people will be able to check in electronically at the polling sites across the city. And we've asked the mayor to consider granting us $10,000 so that we can create a storage system for all of this new equipment. All the poll workers will be trained in, all the election staff will be trained in, but right now it's boxed up and it's in our elections office. Aside from that, really our budgets are the same in all three departments. The city council staff has gotten better and the city council themselves has gotten better in using their professional development money, so that still stays the same. It won't be going back to the general fund, hopefully, if you all use it. And you have been.
No, that's good, because that's a question made to me a couple of years ago, I honor that, and the Gladys to you, I thank you and your staff, for your professionalism, your honesty, your integrity, and $30,000 overall, that's minuscule on that. And you mentioned about the voting stuff, you know, and we always want to make sure we get as many people as possible come out and vote, so I think that that's something we can look into, if that enhances people to be able to come out and vote. We haven't got to elections yet anyway. but
And we don't,
This is just on the.
there are no vacant, there's one position in the city council office, and much like what's happening in the council's office is. We had applicants, we reviewed their applications, but we don't want to inject somebody into the current council staff makeup while we're kind of all learning, all the new special committees are starting. And I work closely with Daisy and Sean, who both do an amazing job. They're really the connection piece to not only the constituents, every department head in the city knows who they are. They work closely with all the departments and all of the city councilors, that the city councilors know. They are okay with just the team of two for right now. And have been both stepping up to make sure that, no one, we don't miss a beat, the office does not miss a beat. That vacancy is going to be filled before the end of this year, but we're waiting to kind of get our footing with the new council before we start interviewing.
Thank you.
Just a question.
Yes.
Speaking of the vacancy, that's been vacant for like almost over a year now, right?
Yes.
I'm wondering, is there a possibility to have maybe like an intern from one of the colleges to come in and like do the work, so we don't have to pay them? Taxes.
Thank you. So when it comes to the city council, they see it kind of as an astronomical because I get acknowledged that we come at the last minute. Sometimes that's to perform this task and then right on point. Specifically when the meetings are being recalled and not recalled, they are on point sometimes. So even though you guys are doing astronomical, good job.
Thank you, Council Perez. Any other questions, comments, from Plain City Council? And again, it is really basically personnel services in response to constituents. Or, you know, residents, the Christmas greenhouse, that's what it is, and overall, looking at your apartments, Madam Cavalier had $30,000 increase is absolutely minuscule, and it keeps services going. Good. Okay, we will now move to, if there's no other questions, we're gonna now move, you put your city, Madam Clerk, you put your clerk's hat on now, please.
And so in the clerk's office, we are the same situation, which is level funding. We have 11 FTEs. There is one anticipated vacancy. We have a retirement that's coming at the end of April, so we are posting hopefully up soon to backfill that expected vacancy. But aside from that, it's a 2.94 variance total from 26 to 27 in the amount of close to $25,000.
And
One of the things that
and he didn't have any requests. either.
we didn't have any requests
Yes,
for that department. I do want to say that one of the requests that Councilor Davila had last year was for us to track how many marriages from outside of the city of Springfield applied, and we're looking for marriage intentions in the city of Springfield as possible additional revenue. We did that, and it didn't, I don't think it would yield, I think, the type of revenue he was looking for, and it would do maybe undue burden to the staff to try to make that difference up. So we didn't implement that from 26 to 27, something that we're gonna monitor each year going forward.
Any questions of city clerk? Okay. Second. We'll now move to your other Board of Election commissioner.
The variance for elections is $37. Yeah, this this year going forward is it's level funded, same staffing, 5 staff. We have a vacancy due to an internal promotion that should be posted in the coming weeks. Aside from that, there are no changes. We're anticipating reimbursements from the state, but this year we will have the state elections, which is reimbursed for early voting and for the funding.
And you also have a federal election too. And
Yeah.
so there must, not a full-fledged, but
Yeah.
so, and you state you get reimbursed, but I don't think anything, we don't get anything from the feds, I don't believe.
No.
Okay. Any questions of elections?
I do.
Yep.
Yeah, just a quick question, and I personally,
Former election?
yeah,
The commissioner.
I'm personally opposed to the SAVE Act, which is now before the Senate. That's gonna, if that ever passes, that's gonna impact everybody. It's gonna impact the clerk's office and the election office, passports, birth certificates. Are we ready for that if that does pass, Gladys? Do you need more?
It really would negatively impact both departments. You're right, based on the fact that we would have, I can't even imagine what percentage of voters would have to come get federally or state issued, city issued IDs, and just the trickle down effect to those departments would require additional staff and additional funding. And the implementation, I just can't even picture how it would lead to it.
Okay, so how do we prepare for that if in case it does pass?
I don't know. I think we would take our cue from the Secretary of State's office. I know that they have a person that's going town to town and scheduling meetings with all of us, each city and town, of the 351 cities and towns, to do contingency planning. And this is part of the discussion behind the scenes.
I just pray to God it doesn't pass.
No, it's a good point, Counselor Sandino. Everybody would want, don't get me wrong, checks and balances and, you know, that you're secured to vote, but we're trying to get more people to vote. And I think you both hit right ahead, that you're gonna get to the point saying, I'm not gonna do, I'm a citizen, I'm not gonna go jump through all these hoops. I'm not gonna go vote. I'm not gonna go vote. So again, we all want checks and balances and on that, but you know, if you're requesting all this, you know, all these documentations here, that could limit people's, I'm just not gonna show up to the polls. So there's gotta be a balancing act on it and continue checks and balances, but you just, I agree, people will just say, I'm not gonna vote. I don't have my birth certificate, I'm not gonna go out with a birth certificate, I social security, on it here, you know, I have my ID, my license, I'm here, I'm a resident, so. Thank you for bringing it up, but hopefully. If it does occur, then we have to be prepared for it. We'll cross that bridge if that does occur.
Thank you.
Mayor, I was just gonna ask about, there's an ordinance, that I just found out about. The e-notification or the elections notification ordinance that the elections commission is supposed to notify our residents when there's an election. And I know that sending out a postcard to everybody is too expensive. However, I'm wondering if there's a way for us to implement the robocall system to remind or to tell people about an election. First of all, a lot of people don't know about elections, even though, you know, they're all over the place. A lot of people don't have time to pay attention. I'm gonna say it that way, because they're trying to survive, you know, trying to pay their bills, trying to put on the table for their kids. So they don't really have time to pay attention. So I'm just wondering if there's something that we can work on to make sure that people are notified about the election when it does come up. And if God forbid that SAVE Act goes into effect, that is going to be very detrimental to our elections, because as it is now, we have a very low voter turnout rate. And it's gonna make it, you know, harder for people to vote. You know, as a married woman, my maiden name is not, you know, Golan, so that's gonna affect me and a lot of people. So I agree with Mayor Sarno, you know, that will make a lot of people not want to go through the trouble, the additional trouble, right? Because it's already an issue sometimes to get out and vote. So I'm hoping it doesn't pass, but you know, God forbid if it does. I'm with Commissioner Loyola. We're actually on a coalition together to maybe plan for that if it does pass.
Yes, I was just gonna say that, Councilor Govan convened a meeting of several neighborhood, and statewide agencies that are interested in turning out the vote and expanding just information to residents on voting, and part of it was that discussing how we can take advantage of the free items, such as using Everbridge to do the robocalls to any Springfield residents that sign up for it. The key is, unfortunately, with that system, it doesn't go to everybody, it only goes to people who sign up to receive either the call, email, or text. And that's something that we have done in the past, and we're gonna continue to do and see how we can expand on that service, and then just maybe have other creative ideas that don't cost the city money, but that that coalition can bring out the vote.
Yeah, and I think we could help with getting people to sign up for
Yes.
robocalls. The counselors could help, that all those members in that coalition can help, because people do need to get signed up for it. So kind of like doing it kind of automatically, even with the census, maybe sending it out, checking a box, okay, remind me, something like that.
Yes.
But thank you very much for meeting with us too. That was really helpful.
Thank you, Councilman. We are working with that and IT director Andy Dolan will come up shortly. They sent the link to actually various departments, just in case other departments involved. So how we can look, we have used that reverse 911 many a time. It's used for when challenging situations occur with weather or other things. You know, you also use it for the C3 meetings, etc. on that. And we've used it other times for certain things. So I know that Gladys and IT director Angie Dolan are looking into it. Any other questions in the election office? Okay, here, thank you, Gladys. Appreciate your leadership and your efforts, your whole team, whole team.
Into these buildings and the concrete and, the typical building, it's far more sophisticated. We're going green. Our last two schools were LEED Gold.
Award-winning, yeah.
Award-winning LEED Gold buildings, and we will continue that. We have, 3 elementary schools coming down the pipeline, so. And then the rest of the accelerated repair projects and park projects and other projects.
We just went, Kathy and I, and the finance team and treasurer, Laundry and others. We had the testifier, we had to speak before the municipal finance, state municipal finance board with the treasurer Goldberg and all the other officials there. For our bonding capacity, in which they said, not me or not Kathy, that the city of Springfield has come a long way with the strength of the finance stabilities with that. And in turn, they okayed everything that we were looking to do on that. So, that's important. But you'll see the myriad of things that Pete Garvey and his team have done. And we're going to continue to do that, whether it's in schools or economic development or with our residents and their neighborhoods out too. I don't know if there's any questions or comments. You're basically coming in a lean piece. You have a request for $3,000. And that goes for OTPS, printing and binding to support archiving, which is important. The city construction documents is printing costs increased on that. So I don't know if there's any questions or comments.
I have a question.
Councilor Santallo?
Yeah, Pete, how has the tariffs impacted your department and how will they impact your departments in the future? Let's say Canadian lumber, whatever comes in the tariff. How will it impact you if those tariffs come down?
It hasn't directly impacted us yet, but it will impact us. We made it through COVID, which was whatever that was. So in Boston, I was talking to someone yesterday in the industry. They're iron workers. They've never seen iron workers laid off at the numbers that they're laid off in Boston because of the tariffs from
from Canada. A lot of steel comes from Canada, as you said, lumber comes from Canada. Steel would be the biggest impact. So it is impacting costs, everything costs. How come it costs so much? I don't know. It just adds up.
That's a good question, Councilor Santino.
Thank you.
So that's the other thing, with the overall budget, the unexpected increases that we're gonna have, especially for projects that are ongoing.
Yep.
We just can't walk away from projects, schools, or community centers, or that, so.
So if I may.
Yeah,
No, I'm gonna talk about you, Orchard.
yeah, I know,
Yeah.
and I'm happy we've been able to facilitate
My
that.
God, I don't know if anybody has gone out there, but you guys should see the fire station now. It's been amazing. Peter Garvey and his team have done an amazing job. It's cost a lot of money and it's gonna cost a lot more to complete it, but we're in the process of working on that and hoping to be able to start a campaign pretty soon. But the job that you guys have done, I'm just so impressed by it. But you guys should have a fire station now. The community is actually, Peter Garvey and his team on pins and needles. Okay, when is it gonna be done? When is it gonna be done? We just need a lot, maybe $5 million more dollars, a lot more.
Get in line.
We'll be getting some of that, hopefully soon. I was just in a meeting with, Ed Markey's team for federal hearing, so we're working on that. So I'm hoping by the end of next year, we should be able to open up the community center in the Orchard.
Well, you know,
Thank you, Mayor.
no, thank you, Councilor, and we have been, Congressman, Richie's always been our direct contact. And Senator Markey's been very good, and Senator Warren, but those two guys have been very, very good. And if things should change in these upcoming elections, that would, I believe, would open up the spigot for us, especially if Congressman Neal can become the chair of Ways and Means.
Yeah.
On it, so, yeah, we're always trying to, besides city, state funding, federal funding, many times, capital campaigns, it's a combination public private, but. That is a good project out there for the Orchard, and right across from the library, which is one of the.
I was just.
And those libraries, $30,000 for the millwork, minuscule. Andrew Carnegie, many years ago, so they wanted to be able to give their workers and their families. But Ryan, I think that was a great question.
Also Neil Park,
Yeah, we're working, that's
amazing.
moving forward too. There are some. Yes.
I saw, Pete, thank you for your presentation. Can you give a quick overview of this state of DPW field and D1 regulation? Is that
But Ryan, I think that was a great.
I believe eminent domain, we did about 2 years ago, a year ago.
We're replacing the fuel pumping system and the storage system. It's at end of life right now. And I'm not gonna quote how many gallons of fuel they use a day, but it's a lot.
But it's gonna stay where it is. now.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm just moving it actually 30 feet.
so it'll stay operational, Council DeVille, good point, but right, and then it just move a little bit. And then that'll come down, and they'll have the new,
Mr. Mayor, if you know regarding that, next door to the DPW, whatever happened to the property there that we really wanted to take it. Please needed it,
Using it.
but I just want to ask. I think
The
there's
back
something.
portion.
yeah,
Front is still private.
the front is still private and,
Yeah, at the back, that was the question.
yeah, we still have it, the back, again, the other part of it is that's still private, property and, to look at that, but has to be a reasonable and respectful price, for the city, to look at that. I'll leave it at,
Right, I
I'll
understand.
leave it at that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other questions, Mr. Garvin? Yes.
Peter, thank you very much, and seeing the planning of the new, Manhattan school here come a long way. So seeing it on paper that it's in development, it's great to know, this is a desire to me. You know what I'm saying? I just took a tour the other day.
Well, you fought, Council President, you fought for that for many, many years.
Run for school committee, so then I had to follow the money, but it is here.
Well,
Thank you so much.
community meeting Tuesday at 6
Tuesday,
o'clock
yeah.
Mhm.
at
Yeah.
Marina, so.
That's a goal,
Yeah.
Lorena, and then, Director Garvey had mentioned too, the next will be in line, we're working with, my old alma mater, White Street School, Hempstead Avenue School combination, and then Beale and Washington Street School down the road, and we've had an outstanding relationship with the Mass School Building Authority, but Lorena, but we'll move, that's already moving forward. Okay, no other questions? Oh,
Question.
Madam President, Tracy?
Explain, so any city project, $1 million or more goes through DCAM?
Yeah,
Right, okay, and then how are you doing with the responsible employer ordinance? when it comes to those projects? We're gonna have a meeting soon, but we haven't had one this year, so I just wanted to know how that's going.
very well. Our numbers are always good in that. Have very little pushback now and everybody knows the system, so. It's happening.
Yeah, I remember one time, I think maybe with D. Barry Swan School, there was like an educational component where you were bringing the students out, to the site to train them firsthand. You still doing projects like that?
We still do that, yeah. We coordinate with, the Putnam teachers, whether it's carpentry, plumbing, electrical. It's like I talked to you before about tradespeople. We need trade.
Yeah.
We need trained, great. It's a good business to be in. You're gonna make money.
Yeah.
Or with overtime, you're making $100,000 now. People don't even want to work overtime.
Yeah.
They just want to on Saturdays.
No. We just had, Council President Whitfield Tracy, we just had our chapter 70 meeting, school committee out in Putnam there, and the internships that we have, and also working with local businesses and the laborers have been great building trades. We've hired people here, DPW, specialized mechanics in the fire department, DPW, IT, other places. On that, but I tell the young people all the time, in between my college stints, I used to work with a flooring crew. And I tell them, anything you do with your hands and you do it well, and you can make some serious money on that, so. But we also, I commend City Councilor Melvin Edwards. He's been very dedicated to this, and Chase Swan, who was my point, was our point person to make sure about the REO, responsible employers ordinance. Is followed through on that.
So I just wanted to finish my comment by saying, I love that program, I love that you're bringing students in. And I'm glad that school department is talking about it. I think we need to do more marketing to our younger folks about trades. And I'm especially happy about hearing how you're going green and clean energy, because I live in that world right now. And it's what needs to be done. So I just wanted to commend you on that and get the award.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. We also expanded vocational training, the After Dark program. We have from science and technology, high school science and technology, and they come in, the After Dark program, also to Putnam Vocational Technical Academy. So that's expanded the number of individuals, he or she, that can get involved in the trades.
Mayor, there are some Mass CDC grants out right now to extend the clean energy education in the trade, so maybe your grants team could take a look at those.
We look and go after every grant we get our hands.
Okay, don't miss it.
No, but unfortunately,
I will.
unfortunately, we have taken hits by the federal government. The major, we keep applying and things are changing. Thank you for bringing it up.
You want
Any other questions of Director Garvey? I know Director Garvey's anxious just to sit here and continue. Brian, he loves it. See,
Just supposed to keep talking.
Thank you,
Thank
Pete, very much. Thanks.
You guys could give the mayor an extra $5 in his OTPS for a pen.
From TD Bank.
I have a whole
For
lot
free.
to give you.
No, they
Baby,
just,
mine.
you know,
That's why we have a shortage at the back.
Yeah, I get them right from,
gets free
TD
pens.
Bank. When I go pay my bill. No, really, that's what I get them, yeah. No. No, I procure them. And speaking of that, segue, the Office of Procurement is here, and Lauren Seville and her team, and Lauren, come on up. And Lauren, thank you for the yeoman work you and your team are doing. I think if you let the council know, the myriad of contracts that you're dealing with, and the multi-millions of dollars on that, so we're deeply appreciated and crossing the T's and dotting the I's with federal regulations, state regulations, city regulations, and on that, so we appreciate that. So, Lauren, I'll turn it over to you two. Please.
So right now I have 7 FTEs and we are pretty much level funded. I think, we talk about all of these projects, so Neil handles everything.
That Neil does a great job.
It's construction related or maintenance on all the public buildings and schools. And I handle all of the supplies and service contracts with the city, and I have DPW, police and fire. So, a lot of stuff goes through our office. It's a busy department. You can pretty much hear a pin drop in our office at any time because it's silent because we're either reading or writing. So this is the first time that I'm fully staffed in 4 years. It's really been great. I have 3 new kids that are in training right now with the IP's office, getting their certification. Hopefully in the fall will be about out.
And when you're looking at all the automation stuff that you have to do now, the online stuff that you have to.
Yes, so we're in the process. We're working with the IT department about going in July to DocuSign. So right now, when we issue a contract, we have to mail it to the vendor. They have to sign it, inspect, and it circulates through everybody's department. Where hopefully in July, we can email it to the companies and they can sign it with DocuSign and it's considered legal. And then it comes right back to us and each department head, the mayor, finance, they're just gonna get a ding to go in and approve it. So hopefully that will the amount of contracts we get. Yeah,
Oh, right.
it's a lot of work.
Anytime I get contracts, I know people waiting.
Now we.
I never, I make sure they're all signed. So, but that's good. That'll be good. You don't have any, I'm glad you're fully staffed now and we've been working on it. You don't have any additional requests, so you're gonna keep services going on that. We appreciate that. What you and Neil and the team doing. The council seat of highlighting the budgets, all the projects and stuff that you do on that. I don't know if there's any questions or comments of Lauren.
Yeah, I'm gonna Oreo cookie this one.
Yes.
First, Lauren, I want to thank you for always being responsive whenever I ask for anything and getting the information back right away. That's been good. And then I'm not gonna say back on constructive feedback, but I think I've already told you that we get people that come to us that put in bids that don't get a response, yay or nay. And they don't know, they're just waiting in the wind. So I see that you got like 10,639 requisitions. And I don't know if that equals how many people applied or just what you put out for procurement. But if there's a way that you can work with IT on maybe automating how they get rid of.
So after DocuSign is done, our next project is, we've already revamped this year, the city website. But we're going to be working with Munis to electronically put our bids on the website. And every day after we have a bid opening, we have a tab sheet. we make that tap sheet available to anybody who calls us up. We'll be able to list that immediately after we're done checking out bid. So these vendors can go to the website and they can see everyone who bid and you can see all their pricing. So everything, but that'll be after July 1. That's our new project for next year.
And, okay, so menopause, brain fog does happen, it is real. So I did forget what I was gonna say, but thank you for the hard work. If I remember, I'll bring it back up.
Just good. Chime right in. Any other questions of Director Stabile, Neil?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move to cousin Ed, IT department. Well, that's, if you remember the Adams family.
I know. I'm old enough to know what it is.
George, how's the Maryland? Great. He always has that great comeback. George.
Ready to learn that?
Yeah, that's so. First of all, I want to thank Director Dolan and Mr. Mooney, Director George Mooney, and the whole team for what they do. Knock on wood, especially in protecting us with this cyber warfare that goes on. And again, now I'm knocking on wood. You've seen a lot of other municipalities and stuff that have been hit and have had to pay ransoms and stuff. The proactive activities of IT have really kept us above and beyond that, and knocking on wood on that. And there's so many demands we have, 5 or things that we're looking to do. And sometimes I wish we could just snap our fingers and get it done, but they have to make priority in their projects. So I'll turn it over to Director Dolan and Deputy Mooney there.
So, our budget this year is 5.85. We had a support increase of about 6.72%. People, I say this constantly, many of our things are contractual obligations. And the industry average is a 5% increase year over year. Munis, OpenGov, all these systems. So we've been working with Kathy and the finance team to kind of come up with strategies relative to like putting everything underneath IT. Then once we can get the overall picture, we begin the negotiation process. We start to look at potential savings and things together. A lot of entities treat us as separate people, so they don't see the city as an overall entity. They see lots of little entities. So we've been working with finance to kind of come up with some strategies relative to that. We've also been working closely with the police department to kind of bring them forward technologically. We'd be replacing pretty much all of their infrastructure with brand new infrastructure. That'll be on a regular schedule. We like to leave things because it's easier for finance. They know the bill's coming up every year. There's no speed bump in the requests. We do have 1 FTE at this time. We do. This was precipitated. I started moving into the position that he did rather early. So.
Yes, and again, God rest his soul, Bobby Holston. He was just a great guy and valuable and dedicated city worker and leader, not only with IT and DPW, but George, we appreciate you stepping up to do that. I just want to interject that. I'm sorry.
No. We continue to move things underneath IT. We're doing a lot of analysis of business processes of the departments, trying to reorganize things, trying to bring later technology in. When I took over the department, we had 31 people. See, now we're down to half that. But that's been through strategic deployment of newer technology, staying on top of things, bringing the latest and greatest that we can because it helps us do our jobs.
Andy, and I'm gonna piggyback on Councilor Santinola's question, because AI, does that play, what role might it play or not play?
So
There's pros and cons.
interestingly enough, we've kind of been experimenting internally with AI. We've got to be careful with AI because AI derives its data from the information we put up there. One mistake And now people's private information's up there, and we have to be very cognitive of what we feed into that system, so. AI is a great thing, but you said it earlier, and we, you know, Kathy, we've all said it, nothing beats talking to a person and handling it, so.
Council Santinello?
Yep, just to follow up on the mayor, on the cyber attacks. The school department got hit with a cyber attack, but did not pay the ransom. That's what was said at the city council meeting when I asked that question. How much sensitive, I don't want you to get into what sensitive information you have, because I don't want to give it to cyber attackers, but you do have sensitive information in that department. Would you make the council aware if you do get hit?
We would have to, there would be no, you know, we have a process in place that should happen. We will strategically start engaging people, putting Department of Homeland Security. You know, we have, we're part of an organization called the Multi-State ISAC. All these people would be engaged, the mayor, certainly city council, Kathy, you know, everybody would be notified. That's not something that, you know, that being said is that, you know, I want to say this, and I don't want to scare anybody, but it's not an issue of if, it's an issue of when.
Yeah.
And, you know, understand that we do our best to keep, the private information. And we're fortunate in the city that most of our information is public. You know, so but the private information, we work very hard to keep that information public. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Question.
Yes, Councilman Miller, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Pete, thank you for the presentation. I got two questions for you. Under the request, funding for continuous service and support for funding for new PC lease combining the city and the police department. Or maybe you pass me to jump on this as well. Finally, I recall a couple of weeks ago, we think we approved a 3-year contract with the school department for PC leases on a yearly basis. Is there any way, that's correct, that's correct. Is it possible, have we even looked at the possibility of buying for 3 departments so we can get a better price point?
I don't believe we can do that.
Why not?
Either.
No, it says it.
So we're,
It says, forgive my ignorance, PC leads, is that laptops, is that desktop?
all PCs on every desk in the city of Springfield, not school. Police department, fire department, PPW, everybody
So
here.
it's a computer, something good.
Yeah, so we.
I mean, computer doesn't come, we loaded, we have to load.
Schools get a special rate
Schools get an E-rate, and.
that we can't use. We tried, they won't let us.
And schools do get some reimbursement money that comes. I remember one year was 1.1 million, and where my school committee chaired that. But their E-rate, and you're right, Lizzie, we did try, we tried to get it.
So is this rate, Mr. Mayor, like, for example, here of E-rate, this is, do you tell me?
So
Yeah.
I wanna throw this out before we speak. We, by engaging the police department, bringing them underneath this, we are increasing the number of seats we buy,
Right.
which therefore will decrease the overall cost.
Right.
So we've saved money. We don't know how much it is, but we've saved money by virtue of, instead of asking for 800 PCs, we're asking for 1,600 PCs now. So E-rate is a program that Fed's put in that basically allows an offset of purchases related specifically to technology and communication that the school gets as only schools and actually libraries. That's on the agree. So it's just, we cannot even get anywhere remotely close to that or jeopardize the schools.
I understand. Thank you, Peter. My other question is, on the service request. It says here you want $35,000 for a printer to write checks. Is that payroll?
And the warrant checks, is the other one.
What checks?
All
Vendor
checks,
checks.
basically all
Oh,
checks.
vendor checks.
Vendor checks or.
Yeah.
You don't keep in your office?
And
This is tired.
we all know how sensitive it is to vendors or our city employees when you're expecting
Yeah, absolutely.
your check and that. So, well, that's something we're gonna look at.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other questions or comments? George, we can't get a word in edgewise with you. Council President Whitfield Tracy?
Yeah, so. It's my understanding that departments update their own. Web pages online. Is that what you say you're trying to get all under IT?
No, we've always, this has been like this since I took over, how many years ago? The system is created such that we house the website. Each entity has access to the website. They keep their portion of it. With critical information, whenever there's an announcement, it always goes to the website first, and then all other entities know about it. That's the system of record. So when DPW does something, the mayor's office does something, that always hits the website first. So that's already been underneath us, but it is a department contributed system. We don't control what goes up there.
Right, and that is a problem, because there are some departments that are great, like the mayor's office, but there are some departments that you haven't seen an update in years. And so is there a way that you guys can at least do like check-ins with departments to see?
Already underway.
Already underway, because I'm like referring people to the website and they said it hasn't been updated since 2022 or 2023.
The mayor sent an edict out that everybody needs to keep their information on there, so we'll occasionally go out there and, like you said, the spot check and.
Yeah, because it's easier said than done, like you guys could probably do it in no time, but if they don't have that skill set or that talent, what is their workaround for that?
They're all trained. All departments that are trained, we have at least one person, sometimes multiple people that are trained in keeping it up to date.
Yeah.
But I can't obviously walk up to somebody and give them the bottom finger and go, you're gonna turn around and update this, but we do, like.
Yeah. Well,
request it.
it's out of their scope of work, right? They got their own main tasks that they have to get done, right? And then they have to update the website, and that's probably might take second. Might be second to what they have to do on their normal everyday basis, not making excuses, but they're saying. Like, if I worked in finance, I wouldn't have been able to update the website. On the computer,
Yeah,
especially during budget season.
But the schools, I mean, and Zell Kalan, Zell Murphy Kalan was my first press secretary. They have a full-fledged team.
Yeah.
We have.
They do a great job.
Yeah, but they have, I think they must be a half a dozen people that do that. We have.
We're not there.
We're not, yeah. Wally does a great job, but, yeah,
And Kathy, I think this is for you. Do you guys, because you know Stephen Howard? Yeah, he sends me texts every week about like broadband. So I just want to make sure that like Sequoia is definitely like checking Mass Broadband Institute like every year. Because I just want to report back that we're working on it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Tracy. Okay, any other questions on IT? And geez, George, I heard you had like a 13-page dissertation.
You had it.
Andy, thank you, George, your whole team. Thank you very much. Okay. Last but not least for today is our Assessors Department. Jessica, Kelly, come on up. Tell the coach I said hello, by the way. And I have to tell you, yes or no, they've done an outstanding, whole team, outstanding job, and, we lost Patrick Greenlaw, who moved to more central eastern part of the state. They've continued that, and the personal touch. When we send things down there, people looking for relief or what they can take advantage of, I hear all the time, oh, I got a phone call back, and what I can do, what I can't do, and we appreciate it. And you are the front lines for our revenue generation on that. And I know we try to be as fair as possible with our commercial rate and our residential rate, but I appreciate you and your team's efforts very, very much, especially the personal touch when people reach out. Sometimes it's difficult to understand. So, Madam Chairwoman, I'll turn it over to you, Tim.
Thank you. So for this fiscal year, we are requesting 1.3 million for our budget. It's a level funded budget. The only increase, of course, would be salaries. We have 14 FTEs and no vacancies at this point. And I also wanted to add, Mayor, to what you just spoke about. So this year, we did put the insert in all of the.
Yes.
state tax bills.
Yeah,
And as a result of that, so January, I call one of our busy months, every month's really a busy month, but that's when everyone gets their actual tax bill and the phone calls start coming in. That's the month that people have to file overvalue applications. So this year, just the first week alone in January, we had, or I believe it was the first day. The first day, we had 498 IntelliGov tickets and we returned every single one of those. We called them
Thank you.
back and reached out to them. So this year we also saw the lowest or second lowest number of overvalue applications because of that. And we have seen an increase in exemption applications as well. I don't have a final number on that yet because the deadline to apply is April 1st.
and again, working with the city council, I decreased the age to 65. I increased the thing, I think doubled it to 1,000. The veterans thing we've done, and then the point of, and I had the person reach, you received that in the your tax bill. Yeah, well, who knows how, how to do that? So, well, we can, help you with that, but you said an important point there, and I know, taxes for all of us, though, you've seen a decrease in abatements that have come in.
Correct.
Okay, on that, and because of some of the relief that we have put across and, and then there's statutory abatements that we have, and I tell individuals all the time, so you have to apply every year, whether it's the veteran one, whether it's, God forbid, the widow's one, and the biggest one, Brian, you know this very well, is a circuit breaker, where you can really get a lot of relief, but when I say to them, you have to show financial records, they don't want to do it. And I said, why do you, well, in fairness, because maybe you have enough to handle your bill there. It's not fair to someone who doesn't have the money to pay that. So there's a lot of avenues, to go on that. But I thank you for your efforts and continue this, concern.
For Bogan's point before, you have conversations with these constituents and they're saying that they don't want to put the time and effort in and then get denied for it. But we are making sure that we go over their financials on the phone before they even apply to lessen, those denials.
If I may.
Yeah, go ahead,
Mr. Mayor, so you said you processed over 1,100 exemption applications. So of those applications, you know how many got?
Those were all
exemption?
granted.
Those are the
Yeah,
exemptions.
exemptions.
Do you know how many you got in or no?
I don't have that
Okay.
number off the top of my
All
head,
right,
but
I'd be interested in knowing that.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised, okay, the motor vehicle excise abatements. Oh, I wonder how many people know about that. That's more, that's like 2,800 you got.
We working with the council, we did that too, so that's I forgot about that. That's another
Yeah.
one we've done too.
I appreciate the work that your office does to try to help our residents. And of course, we have all these other residents that don't qualify for any of this and are still struggling. So that's the reason Mayor Sarno, I'm always harping about this, because I get worse than probably you guys do, not 400 in one day, but close.
But we are waiting and my chief of staff, Bill Baker, does this state house now, does a great job tracking it. We're waiting that home rule legislation, which I believe is in the third reading.
Yeah.
We have money, CAFO, Kathy, when I asked her, we set aside money, at least $1 million to start for those individuals that
Yeah.
fall through the cracks, that just miss. And
Right.
we're able to,
Yeah.
so we're still waiting technically for the legislation to pass, but it is, Billy's in a third reading, right?
It passed the house.
Right. Right, Angie, Rep. Huplo was very helpful on that, so we're waiting on it, and then we still have the the good neighbor thing that we put together too, that you can donate to it too. I hope some other people have to help people out, but we need that legislation to pass. And that would really, and we have the committee of residents who are appointed, who are on there, very diverse.
They met.
And they've met, and I appreciate that, and they're very appreciative, and they, you know, their backgrounds, they understand that, and they would look at it very, very fairly too. Any, Jessica? Yeah.
For the motor vehicle abatements, some people don't know about that at all.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see you have so many. How long does it stay in effect? So say someone paid it, do they get that money back, or it's just like going forward?
So it would be for that calendar year. People have 3 years from the date of payment or due date of the bill, whichever is later, to file an excise application. And it would be just that calendar year. And I also want to say they would only be eligible, they no longer have the vehicle and they cancel the plates and transfer them.
And then, I wrote stuff down and try to remember. Oh, are you knowing?
Yes.
Oh, nice to meet you. I wanted to say, I'm glad to see a woman in the role. I also wanted to say thank you for being responsive. I called on something and I think like 3 people from your team called me back. They're like, oh, Counselor Whitfield, we don't want that smoke, but thank you and you called me back personally.
They're very responsive.
I was just so surprised, like, we got to explain though, but I just wanted to say thank you. I think you're doing a fantastic job. You also said that you will be open to coming into the community and explaining these services like Patrick did before. So I just want to say thank you and everything that's gonna happen during tax season.
Yes.
It's not my heart.
I know.
Okay.
I don't take it personal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't take it.
Well, don't take it personal either. But just either, but happy. But just either too. But no, I really think you all try to do the best you can, honestly. And it's just hard for us because we're the closest line to the residents and constituents. So we hear all of the problems that they are going through, and I know that the mayor's office hears them also, because we send them there sometimes. And it's just a hard thing to balance, all the time. But I think the more that we can educate, the better it'll get and the easier it gets. So I definitely appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, Tracy.
I just want to
Council
Council President Whitfield's statement about the outreach from this department. You were fantastic last night. She was in front of the 16-acre Civic Association. I agree. A huge crowd. You did an excellent job and people came working.
Any other questions or comments? But again, there is a myriad of relief packages that are available. And you can see, it's not me only, but the councils are saying that if you don't understand it, oh, I'm not gonna go through it, I'll never get anything. They'll talk you through it. And if you don't apply,
Yeah.
nothing can happen for you. And then certain ones on the property abatement, there's, I believe, a 45-day window to or a certain window. You have to get that in by a certain time, by state statute, Yeah, on it. So, if we can help, we're gonna try to help. Any other questions, assessors at all?
I just want to say one more comment to you, Kathy, because I appreciate the creative way that you guys are both using Sequoia in these roles to give him the experience and the exposure. That's something that we had talked about in the city council meeting, how we can transition some of our internal employees to different roles, and that also saves money on the budget. So, thank you both for that.
Sequoia's a good young man and brought to my attention that there could be a movement or a training ground for him with the assessor, hell of a ball player in his day too, by the way. Let's do it because it just diversifies the talent that we have, and the young ladies have been great, and Sequoia is learning. He likes it. That's another thing too. You gotta like. You gotta be able to learn the ropes on it. So if there's no other questions, this is the first day. I deeply appreciate everybody's efforts from cabinet heads down rank fund. I really appreciate the strong showing of city councilors that are here and asking questions. This is nuts and bolts. You'll be able to do it in your own budget hearings.
Yeah.
But this really gets down to the nitty gritty and helps when helps when we're putting the budget together.
Give us the expectation what's coming down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like to be in.
be aware, be aware.
So thank you, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you, Focus Springfield. Half back. Thank you.
We want to-
That